Divine protection confirmed. Saint Benedict's sacred prayer dissipates all evil in 40 days. In the quaint village of Maplewood, autumn leaves danced to the ground, shimmering in the golden light. Here, devotion flourished as a colorful tapestry of faith wove tightly around its people, none more so than Emily, a devoted single mother. Amidst the swaying trees, whispers of Saint Benedict's power surged through conversations, and as the golden sun dipped under the horizon, it became clear Emily's strength would be put to the test. Just as the towers of the ancient church began to cast long shadows, a dark cloud settled over Emily's family. Her young son, Charlie, had fallen ill, light in his eyes dimmed, leaving only uncertainty and fear. One by one, the challenges stacked up, bills piled high, neighbors turned to harsh whispers, and despair settled into Emily's heart like a heavy stone. Nevertheless, amid the turmoil, news of Saint Benedict's sacred prayer sparked a flicker of hope. It promised divine protection, a shield against the shadows encroaching upon her life. As Emily initiated the prayer circle at the village church, a dawn gathering bathed in the soft hues of liminal light, a sense of divine mystery enveloped the room. Villagers, moved by her unwavering faith, joined hands and whispered the words, "Through the intercession of Saint Benedict, we seek your protection and grace." The very air vibrated with fervor. The flickering candlelight danced in response, casting ethereal patterns that seemed to play along with their supplications. However, emotions within the village crackled like autumn leaves in the breeze. While many rallied support for Emily's heart-lifting mission, others scoffed at the notion of prayer, clinging tightly to facts and figures instead. "What good will praying do?" they murmured, skepticism lingering in the air. Yet the prayer circle flourished. Unfaltering commitment bloomed in the hearts of believers, as Emily stood resolute, her faith like a beacon in the gathering twilight. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. But Emily's conviction faced a shattering blow when Charlie's fever rose, relentless and consuming. Her heart cracked under the weight of fear. Tides of desperation surged, overcasting faith, and she turned her attention to earthly solutions, from potions to doctors, but nothing seemed to work. That darkness loomed heavier, tangling around her spirit with each passing day, despair blanketing any remnants of hope. One fateful evening, as the wind howled outside the church, cold and merciless, Emily knelt before the flickering candles. Silence wrapped around her, filled with sacred whispers. Doubt gripped her like a thief in the night, but in that stillness, the prayer found her, echoing in her heart. "Oh, Saint Benedict, guide us," she whispered, fully surrendering her pain to God's embrace. Soon after, a crack of light sliced through the shadows, a flicker of change spinning its way into Emily's life. Miraculous shifts began rippling through her family and village. Illness began to lift, relationships healed. A wave of renewal surged through Maplewood. The shadows receded, replaced by a warm glow of unity and faith. But as tangible hope blossomed, a darker, unresolved fear lingered. Would this newfound faith endure? Would they be ready to embrace what divine intervention had in store? As she pondered, a sudden event loomed, threatening the stability they fought to reclaim, leaving the village on the brink of a spiritual reckoning. Would they embrace the power of prayer? The answer awaited, just beyond the horizon of faith. Days flowed like the crisp air of autumn, mingling with the scent of impending change. A sense of renewal pulsed through the village, yet a collective unease simmered beneath the surface. Emily felt it too, the haunting whispers of uncertainty that reached into her heart, threatening to unravel the warm threads of hope that knitted together her community. It was a serene morning, one that carried the promise of peace. The sun broke through layers of clouds, lighting the streets in a soft glow. Emily made her way to church, each step echoing with a purpose nurtured by faith. As she approached the familiar wooden doors, she noticed their creak was replaced by hushed murmurs from the gathered villagers. "Have you heard?" said Martha. Her voice trembled slightly. "Something is stirring in the woods. Animals are behaving strangely, it feels like a sign." Concern clouded Emily's heart. The woods were known for their tranquility, but fear was beginning to take root. "What sort of sign?" she asked quietly, resolving to anchor herself in prayer, no matter how the world outside swayed. As if on cue, the wind picked up, rustling the leaves in irritation. It was a reminder that darkness often attempted to invade even the brightest of spaces. But Emily held steadfast. She remembered her prayers, the words that held power as they resonated off the walls of the church. They had united her village, and she felt them rekindling a flame within her. That evening, the prayer circle was vibrant with energy. Candles flickered to life as villagers gathered, hands clasped tightly, forming a chain of light and trust. Emily led them, her voice unwavering. "Saint Benedict, we ask for your protection as we face shadows that dare to threaten our peace." Tears welled in the eyes of her neighbors, believers and skeptics alike. In that moment, faith transcended doubt. The air crackled, alive with an electric spirit that filled the sacred space. It was as if a divine force wrapped around each villager, lifting them higher, closer to God. And yet, outside, a chill crept through the woods. The presence of something sinister loomed. Whispers grew bolder, echoing among the trees. People spoke of strange sightings, the glint of eyes in the dark, disquieting shrieks punctuating the silence of night. Fear again wrapped around Emily's heart. This was not only a battle for Charlie's health. It now felt like a battle for their very souls. With renewed fervor, Emily rallied the villagers for a night vigil. Underneath a clear sky peppered with stars, they gathered, held hands, and sang songs of worship that penetrated the night air. Each note was a declaration against the looming darkness. It was not mere words. It was a fight of love and belief. Yet, even as she sang, Emily felt the weight of doubt creep in. Were they strong enough? Just then, a luminous burst of light ignited the heavens, momentarily silencing their fears. Gasps arose among the villagers, eyes wide in disbelief. "See," Martha shouted, pointing skyward. "God is with us." But as the last echoes of the light dimmed, a deep rumble from the woods echoed ominously, shaking the ground beneath them. The villagers fell silent, the reality of their fears pressing down like a heavy fog. Emily stood firm, channeling the strength of the prayer surrounding her. "This is not the end, my friends. It's a call to deeper faith." As she spoke, deep within her heart, she sensed that this unfolding drama was only the beginning. If they were to confront the dark force in their midst, they would need to delve deeper into their faith than ever before. The journey was about to transform them all in ways they could never imagine. "Will you walk with me into the unknown?" she asked, her voice echoing through the silent crowd. And on the edges of the woods, shadows flickered, waiting in the darkness for their opportunity. Would Emily and the village find the courage to confront their fears? The answer lingered, just beyond the veil of uncertainty. The night was thick with tension, a heavy shroud swallowing the breath of the village. As Emily stood before her neighbors, her heart raced. They had gathered for a purpose greater than themselves. The presence of something dark loomed just beyond the flickering candlelight. But in that moment of vulnerability, she also felt a stirring of divine strength. "We are not alone," she called to the villagers, her voice steady in the face of fear. They needed to rise above the shadows threatening their peace, to unsheath the sword of faith clutched tightly within their hearts. Martha, emboldened by Emily's fervor, began to recite a scripture she held dear. "For I know the plans I have for you," she spoke, her voice trembling yet firm. "Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future." The words wrapped around the villagers, a comforting cloak against the cold winds that whispered doubts around them. As they joined hands and began to pray, the air shimmered with a palpable energy. They prayed not just for themselves, but for the land that had nurtured them, for the trees that stood watch over their dreams, and for the creatures whose voices had added to the growing symphony of unrest. Suddenly, a rustle came from the edge of the woods, sending shivers down many spines. Were those the shadows responding, or was it the wind playing tricks? Each villager turned toward the source, and Emily felt a moment of panic threaten to breach her resolve. Yet she remembered, courage is not the absence of fear, it's the choice to trust despite it. Let us sing, Emily proposed, her heart alight with faith. As the first notes rang out, the village came together in harmonic reverie. It was a melody of surrender, breathing life into every corner where anxiety threatened to take root. Lord, let your will be done, rang out their unified voices, each note rising higher, reaching for the divine. In the midst of their song, a surge of warmth flooded the air. Light danced not just in the sky, but in every heart. They began to see the shadows shift, a shimmering outline of hope breaking through the night. Could it be that the darkness was retreating? As the song built to a crescendo, they felt an invincible spirit weaving through their ranks. A hush fell as they finished. Time stood still, and Emily felt the undeniable surge of presence, a confirmation of divine light in the face of their doubts. With open hands and hearts laid bare, they awaited a response from above. And then, from the undergrowth, a shape emerged. It was not the horror they anticipated. Instead, it was a deer, its eyes radiant and calm. The villagers gasped, a collective breath in recognition. The presence of such pure innocence quelled the rising tides of fear, replacing it with awe. This creature, it signals a turning point, Martha exclaimed, kneeling to the ground, her heart crashing with the recognition of divine inclusion. This is a sign of God's protection. In silent understanding, Emily stepped forward. Behind her, the villagers were gathering their hope. As the deer gently approached, Emily knelt too. We are here, Lord. Show us the path to take. An invitation to respond hung in the air, vibrant and teeming with potential. She could virtually see the hope of the villagers swirling around them like a tangible mist, now emboldened by the divine assurance. But then, almost imperceptibly, the darkness stirred anew. A low growl echoed from the depths of ancient shadows. The watchful eyes that had once goaded fear in their hearts appeared again, flickering back into existence. Emily's heart pounded. Was this to be a test of their newly awakened faith? Will we let fear dictate our choices, or will we stand firm in his promises? She called out, her voice rising once more amidst the unnatural quiet. The answer resonated strong. They would rise. Yet, deep down, a question lingered. Was this moment of divine presence merely a prelude to a more significant confrontation, a greater revelation waiting to unveil itself before the dawn? Would the battle truly begin now? Only time would tell. A hush enveloped the villagers as they braced themselves, hearts echoing the primal rhythm of uncertainty. But even within the dark, memories of light flickered brightly, of a peace that transcended troubles, of hope that danced on the edges of despair. The deer stood before them, a beacon of purity amidst the chaos. Its soft gaze seemed to pierce through the hearts of each villager, drawing them deeper into a moment of profound stillness. Emily could see transformations taking place, faces once etched with worry now softened into expressions of faith, emboldened by the gentle creature that had emerged. Trust, Emily urged, her voice barely a whisper, yet resonant against the haunting backdrop. Trust that God has not forgotten us. He is asking us to look into the light, to see the good amidst the evil. Martha rose, casting her glance toward the woods from which the growl had come. We must prepare our hearts and our prayers, she affirmed. We cannot fight a battle of flesh and blood, but we can fight with the strength of our faith and the power of his word. The villagers, inspired, began to murmur scripture, hearts aligning with a divine cadence. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? Echoed through the ranks. Each syllable became a shield, a silent stance against the dark forces that threatened to invade. As the deer shifted gently, grazing on the nearby grass, the atmosphere shifted along with it. A fragrance of earth mingled with the cool night air, a reminder of the Creator's handiwork. This creature, a medium of grace, had arrived as though it were a heavenly envoy, and the villagers felt a calm settling within them. With a sudden burst of conviction, Emily raised her arms toward the heavens. Let us acknowledge the power of God's promises. She called out, her voice growing louder, wrapped in fervor and sacred urgency. We shall act in faith as intercessors for our home. One by one, the villagers echoed her, the sound swelling like a tide. They were no longer alone in a darkened forest. Rather, they stood together under the vast canopy of God's love and protection. The air around them vibrated with spiritual energy, as if a veil hung between their realm and the divine. Emily lowered her voice to that gentle whisper again. In 3 days, we shall unite each afternoon to pray together to call on God's might and His promise of protection. A ripple of agreement surged through the gathering. They instinctively knew this was God's instruction, a provision for the wilderness they faced. And as they contemplated the upcoming days, none could ignore a deeper sense of destiny breathing life into their hearts. Yet, even as the anticipation grew, so too did the shadows lingering just outside their circle of trust. The growls intensified, a reminder that the spiritual battle was far from over. Was this divine reassurance a prelude to a much greater test? As a feeling of unease washed over Emily, she glanced toward the woods once more. "Fear not," she whispered to herself, hoping the words would settle deep within her heart too. There was power in the name of Jesus, they all believed that. What awaited them in those next 3 days? Would they truly feel the mighty hand of God? Suddenly, a thought gripped her, a flicker of understanding that perhaps this was only just the beginning of their journey toward greater revelations. In the collective heart of the village, the question echoed louder, rippling through the souls gathered. What did the dawn hold? Would they emerge stronger, or would they falter in their resolve? The answer remained unfurling in the sacred silence, waiting for the imminent illumination of truth. The sun rose the next day, its gentle rays piercing the veil of night, bringing with it a fresh promise of hope. The villagers gathered at the edge of the forest, eyes wide and spirits lifted. There was an electric anticipation in the air. Emily stood among them, her heart pounding with both apprehension and faith, for she knew they were stepping into a sacred moment, one that could alter the course of their lives. "Remember the deer," she urged, her voice firm yet soft. It was a sign, a reminder that even in our darkest hours, God sends His creatures to breathe life into our spirits. Today, we stand as His humble servants, united in prayer. Martha clasped her hands together tightly. "Let us not be afraid," she added, her voice steady. "Every heartbeat is an opportunity to call on our Father. With faith, we can draw the line between what seeks to harm us and the protection He promises." As they formed a circle, hands joined, a wave of energy pulsed through them. They began to recite the prayers passed down through generations, words of strength, requests for protection, each phrase reverberating in the cool morning air. Emily felt the ground beneath her transform, as though the earth itself nodded in affirmation to their intentions. "Saint Benedict'S prayer," she called out, feeling compelled to invoke the sacred words known for dispelling evil. The villagers responded with fervor, voices rising above whispered doubts and fears. "Holy Father, keep us secure in your love. Protect us from all harm. Let there be peace in our hearts." The words spilled forth like a waterfall, cascading over their spirits, washing away remnants of worry. With every repetition, their collective faith grew stronger, awakening divine courage within them. Emily could feel the presence of something majestic, the essence of hope swirling around them, beckoning them to rise above their circumstances. But even as they prayed, the shadows loomed just outside their circle. The growling had not ceased. In fact, it grew more pronounced, a haunting reminder of the darkness that threatened their resolve. Each sound seemed to dare them to falter. Yet instead of fear, Emily felt an inexplicable wave of peace engulfing her heart. "We must declare our faith louder," she cried out, her voice echoing through the trees. "We shall not be moved by what we see, but by the promises of our God. He has not brought us this far to leave us now." The villagers rallied, voices rising in unison, fortifying the atmosphere with an energy that felt palpable. The sound of their prayers mixed seamlessly with the wild hum of the forest. As the growling intensified, it began to morph, almost as if it were dissipating under the weight of their faith-filled declarations. A sudden hush settled over the crowd, and in that stillness, something shifted. The air felt lighter, more vibrant. Then, in the midst of their sacred act, the deer appeared again, this time adorned with a soft, golden glow, framing it in divine light. The villagers gasped as awe washed over them, for this sight ignited their spirits like never before. In that moment, Emily understood that healing and protection were intertwined with their faith. The deer was not only a symbol of peace, but an embodiment of God's light breaking through their darkness. Yet, even as their hearts swelled, a question lingered in the air. What could the shadows still hold if they persisted in their prayers? As they began to open their eyes, their hearts remained open to what lay ahead. What further mysteries awaited them on this sacred journey? Would their prayers break every chain? Tomorrow's assembly promised answers, yet uncertainty loomed larger than ever. As the day waned and the light began to fade once more, the villagers found solace in their agreement. They had no choice but to lean firm into their faith, holding on to the promises made. With each sunset, they stepped closer to either victory or unraveling. The sacred mystery remained untouched, resting like a soft blanket across their eager hearts. They sensed that something was coming. What would unfold in the next gathering? Would they find the strength to confront their darkest fears? The air buzzed with excitement, anticipation mingling with an undercurrent of anxiety as the night drew near. As twilight blanketed the village, the villagers gathered again, this time deeper in the woods, where the shadows seemed thicker and the air held a chill that whispered of uncertainty. Emily felt an urge to place her hand over her heart. It was as if the forest itself was listening, waiting, and the weight of expectation hung like a delicate thread above them. Tonight, we are called to stand firm. We're not just here to ask, we're here to proclaim. Emily spoke, her voice steady despite the unsettling atmosphere. She could sense the struggle within the hearts of her companions. Fear and hope danced closely together, making it hard for them to breathe in the light of faith. Martha stepped forward again, bringing with her a contagious resolve. Let us remember the miracles among us. The deer appeared amidst our prayers. If God can send forth his peace through a simple creature, what can he do with our united voices? Let us lift our hearts in trust. Her words sparked something deep within each soul present. Faith woke up like a child answering a call. As the villagers joined hands, Emily could feel lifelines forming a web of shared hope that intertwined them in that sacred moment. Let us echo the words of Saint Benedict once more, she urged, letting the words flow from her lips with urgency. May we be a fortress against fear, a light against darkness. They began to chant the prayer again, their voices a rising tide, pushing back the shadows that threatened to overwhelm them. Each syllable hung in the air, a tangible thread weaving through the trees, into the earth, and up to the heavens. It felt as though the very essence of their faith became a shield, shimmering with divine light against encroaching darkness. Suddenly, the growling returned, louder than before, a cacophony of dread that rattled their bones. Emily's heart raced, but in the face of that unrelenting sound, she felt a surge of holy boldness. "Do not falter," she shouted. "Lift your eyes beyond this darkness. Our God fights for us, even now." The chanting grew more vibrant, an electric chorus that resonated in the depths of their spirits. Each prayer was charged with belief that transformed fear into courage. They pressed on, united, declaring victory over what sought to bind them. In that moment, the air shifted again, a warmth blossomed, wrapping around them like a blanket of care. The growling began to wane, not vanishing entirely, but fading under the strain of their convictions. The golden deer emerged again, illuminated by the glow of their growing faith. This time, it stood proud, regarding them with eyes gleaming like stars. There was an unmistakable knowing in its gaze. Emily felt the conversations among the villagers come to a hush. One by one, they began to share their own stories of miracles. "I felt his presence when I lost my son, guiding me back to joy," murmured one. "And I swear it was a gentle breeze carrying whispers of comfort in every hard moment," spoke another. Each testimony shone light into the shadows, creating a tapestry of faith woven into their collective narrative. Yet, amidst all the affirmation, threads of uncertainty remained intertwined. The shadows may shriek and howl, but would they truly dissipate? What lay in the dark corners of this forest, resisting their prayers? As the last echoes of the day slipped into night, the villagers found their hearts still buzzing, filled with a hopeful question that lingered on their lips. Was the divine intervention truly on the brink of revealing itself? The sacred gathering reaffirmed their commitment, But an unanswered question fluttered within their hearts like a restless dove. At what cost would their trust yield victory? Would the night grant them peace, or would it usher in deeper trials yet to unfold? Only tomorrow would tell. As dawn broke, washing the village in golden light, the air felt different. The chill of the night had faded, replaced by a soft, warm glow that seemed to seep into every nook and cranny of the woods. Emily stepped out of her small home, still bearing the echoes of last night's fervent prayers, her heart quietly thumping with hope and trepidation. She made her way to the center of the village, where the community had gathered once again, their faces washed in sincerity. It was clear they had come to share, to reflect, and to dream of what lay ahead. "Good morning, everyone," Emily greeted warmly, her voice echoing with the reminder of their shared spirit. "Let us begin this day together, just as we did yesterday, with faith in our hearts." Martha stood to the side, her presence like a pillar of strength. She nodded, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears of gratitude. "We stood strong against the storm, but what do we do now?" She pondered aloud, her voice soft yet firm. The question hung in the air, a weighty invitation to consider their next steps. A murmur of thoughts danced among the villagers. Could they solidify their fellowship into a fortress, a defense against the shadows? "I say we continue our prayers," suggested one villager, a sense of urgency threading through his words. "We should call upon Saint Benedict once more, asking for his divine protection to keep these shadows at bay." "Yes," another chimed in, the spark of enthusiasm flaring aflame. "Let us pray with even more conviction, our voices united like a wall of light against the darkness." Emily felt the strength pooling within her, igniting a fervent desire to carry their spirits forward. "We gather this day to reinforce our faith," she proclaimed, her voice steady. "We will witness miracles in our unity. Let us not only share our fears, but more importantly, let us share our faith." As they held hands, the villagers formed a circle, a sacred bond of trust wrapping them like a mantle. The sun peeked through the canopy of leaves overhead, bathing them in a soothing light, amplifying the warmth of shared belief. "Join me as we echo the words, asking Saint Benedict to guide and shield us," Emily continued, her heart racing in harmony with their collective energy. They began to recite the prayer together, their voices intermingling in a powerful chant. The words reverberated through the woods, lush with life and promise. But then, just as they reached a crescendo, a shrill sound pierced the air, a sharp reminder of the lurking shadows, the growls once again distinctive in the distance. The villagers paused, fear rising like a tide threatening to drown their hopes. "Steady," Emily commanded, as she felt the weight of their collective fear. "This is why we stand together. For every growl, we respond with our faith. For every shadow, we shine brighter." With renewed vigor, they revived their prayers, the rhythm pulsing with divine strength. A crackle of energy enveloped them, a shimmering force pushing back the darkness, each voice unwavering in its resolve. Then, as if summoned by their unwavering spirits, the golden deer materialized once more, standing majestic and calm before them. This time, its presence felt different, not just a symbol of hope, but an embodiment of their fight. It gazed at them with those brilliant eyes, conveying a deep understanding. In that moment, Emily realized that the deer was not solely a beacon of miracles, it was also a message. "Trust in the journey," she whispered under her breath. What awaited them beyond this moment? Would the shadows retreat for good, or would they reveal deeper fears? And if so, were they truly ready for whatever lay ahead? The sunlight coursed through the trees, painting the forest golden once more, yet the question lingered in the air, heavy and inviting. As the villagers looked to Emily for guidance, she couldn't shake the feeling that their greatest test of faith was yet to come. Emily felt a surge of determination as the golden deer locked its gaze onto her. In its eyes, she saw not only wisdom but a challenge. The villagers looked at her, sharing her expectancy, their minds racing with the possibilities that lay ahead. She sensed that this was a pivotal moment, a time for them to solidify their togetherness, their quest for deeper faith. "Let the deer guide us," she proclaimed, her heart racing. "We have already felt its presence, a divine sign, affirming that we are not alone. Together, we will become beacons of hope and strength." Martha stepped forward, her voice steady as she said, "We must prepare our spirits for what comes next. Surely the shadows are drawn to our faith, but we must also be ready within." A murmur of agreement rippled through the group. Emily nodded, finding strength in their unity. The plan began to take shape. Each villager would dedicate time to personal reflection and prayer, deepening their connection with faith. Days turned into weeks. Each dawn painted the village in hues of devotion. They woke with morning light, embracing their resolutions. Quiet moments became communal, as they gathered not only to pray but to share personal testimonies. Each story was like a thread weaving into the fabric of their community, stronger than before. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the horizon, a palpable energy filled the air. Emily called the villagers to the old oak tree, its gnarled branches stretching out like divine arms ready to envelop them. "Tonight we reflect and listen," she urged. "Listen to what God is telling us." As they settled in, Emily led them in a gentle prayer, inviting the peace of their spirits to settle like a warm blanket. They sat in stillness, the whispers of nature surrounding them. The crickets began their symphony, and a soft breeze rustled the leaves overhead, as if heaven itself was breathing in rhythm with them. Suddenly, a flash of light burst through the forest, illuminating their gathering. Gasps echoed among the villagers as they beheld a figure glowing softly in the distance. It was Saint Benedict. His presence radiated serenity, spreading warmth throughout their circle. "Fear not, beloved followers," he spoke aloud, his voice smooth like honey, floating over them effortlessly. "Your prayers have reached the heavens, and your faith has not gone unnoticed. Continue steadfastly, for divine protection is upon you." The villagers erupted with joy, tears of gratitude spilling freely down their cheeks. Emily's heart swelled with uncontainable joy as she bowed her head. She felt a surge of love and encouragement wash over her. This was more than they had hoped for. This was a reassurance that their journey was validated, that they were indeed on the right path. "Let us rejoice, yet remain humble," Martha reminded, her voice clear amidst the joyous cries. "The shadows still swirl at the edges of our light, even if they have drawn back for now." Peace settled back into the hearts of the villagers, but Emily sensed an undercurrent of truth. What if the shadows are not just outside us? She pondered privately. What if they also linger within? Do we have the courage to face that reality? The gentle rustle of the leaves seemed to respond to her thoughts, and the villagers' faces reflected solemn understandings. Could they truly dispel the deepest fears within themselves? As the night darkened, they discussed their innermost struggles, sharing one by one. With each vulnerability expressed, the shadows that lingered grew weaker, light inching into the cracks of despair. It was a sacred unveiling, where hearts were laid bare. As they prayed together, enveloped in divine protection, Emily realized this was just the beginning. The lesson of trust was far-reaching, and faith was more than a shield. It was a transformation. But what awaited them next? The shadows were not vanquished. Would they stand united against the coming storms? Or would the true test of their faith lie in confronting the darkness within? Emily's spirit twitched with anticipation as the divine mystery unfolded before them. As dawn broke over the village, the splendor of sunlight filtered through the trees, splashing warmth across the villagers. Emily rose early, her heart lifted by renewed hope. The sight of her friends Martha, Jonathan, and the others gathering their strength revived her spirit. The golden deer had spoken, and they had felt the presence of Saint Benedict. This was a holy affirmation. God was moving among them. "Today we prepare ourselves further," she announced, her voice steady against the gentle morning breeze. "The shadows we spoke of are real, but with our prayer and unity, we can face them." Martha nodded, her expression earnest. "We must not only seek the light outside, but also explore the darkness within. This dual quest is crucial." Emily felt a mixture of trepidation and excitement. "We will create a plan. For 40 days, we dedicate ourselves to prayer, together and alone. Each day, we'll come together to share our experiences and reflect on our inner battles." The villagers agreed, their faces alight with determination. With purpose, they prayed together, pouring out their hearts, asking for guidance, forgiveness, and strength. Each day became an opportunity for reflection. They shared fears they had hidden away: fear of failure, fear of judgment, and the shadows of anger and bitterness that clung to them. The transformation was gradual. At times, the weight felt almost unbearable, but as vulnerability flowed, so did the light. One evening, Jonathan stood and professed, "I felt lost, as if shadows had swallowed me whole. But with each prayer, I see glimpses of hope." He was met with murmurs of understanding and encouragement. Staring into the embers of the fire, Emily felt the flicker of the divine presence again. It was like a reminder that even in darkness, light could break through. As weeks passed, something remarkable happened. The villagers started to express gratitude not only for the good they experienced, but also for struggles. "These hardships can shape us," Martha shared one night, her voice strong. "In recognizing our shadows, we understand the depth of our light." There were moments of divine revelation too. During one gathering, an elderly woman named Mary spoke with tears in her eyes. "I have felt alone for so long, but now, I see that I'm woven into this beautiful tapestry we create together. Even my loneliness holds a purpose." The villagers erupted with applause, clapping and encouraging her. Hope danced in the air, weaving through their souls like a warm embrace. Yet, every so often, Emily sensed the lurking shadows trying to breach their newfound joy. Late one night, as she knelt alone, darkness loomed in her mind. What if we fail? It taunted, a whisper that clawed at her heart. Instead of succumbing, she raised her hands, praying fervently, "God, I trust in your plan. Help me confront my fears." And suddenly, she felt a warmth envelop her. The light of the divine, as if coaxing her back to faith. With each passing day, the villagers faced the darkness together and individually. Even on the roughest days, they found strength. Others would share verses that resonated, reminding them of God's promises. "Though we walk through the valleys of shadows, we shall not fear," Emily would often quote, each villager echoing along. As the 40 days moved closer to an end, they sensed a profound shift. Yet, was this truly the end? Emily looked at the sun setting one evening, a glowing orb suspended in the sky. "The deep shadows within us," she whispered, steering her gaze towards the villagers, who were gathered and hopeful. "Are they truly gone? Is there more to this journey we need to explore together?" Their hearts echoed the unspoken questions, anticipation weaving through the quiet air. There, under the vast sky, they felt the stirrings of something greater. Was another revelation waiting just beyond the horizon? Or were they to face one final test that could change everything? The sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over Maplewood. The villagers convened at the church, a sacred gathering waiting to either celebrate triumph or endure trials. Excitement and anxiety swirled together, lighting up Emily's heart as she led the way, her faith burning brighter than the fading daylight. "Today is our final assembly of these 40 days, she began, her voice rich with emotion. "It's time to put into practice everything we've learned. Let us declare our victory over the shadows, both within and around us." Martha stepped up beside her, eyes shining. "Remember, beloved friends, though the shadows may loom large, our light is even greater. We've prayed for divine protection, and we must also stand as protectors of each other's spirits." As they took their places, hand in hand, the harmony of unity wrapped around them like a holy embrace. Emily felt every heartbeat resonate with the collective spirit of trust. It was overwhelming, for they had traveled deep in faith and now were ready to launch into unexplored territories beyond what they could fathom. "Let us pray," Emily called out. The villagers lifted their voices in powerful unison, chanting the sacred prayer of Saint Benedict. "Through his intercession, we seek your divine protection. Deliver us from all that threatens our peace." With each repetition, it felt like they were forging a shield of light that encircled the church, pushing back the darkness that still lurked along the periphery of their existence. Shadows quivered outside the door, but Emily pressed on, emboldened by the community's collective strength. Then, a chill swept through the gathering, and the growling returned, near and fierce. The air vibrated with tension. Fear danced across the villagers' faces, but Emily refused to let it cascade into doubt. Now is the time to show our courage. Fear shall not prevail here, for we are armed with faith." Her voice thundered against the advancing night. Suddenly, the church doors swung open, revealing not the shadows they dreaded, but the golden deer, illuminated as if drenched in sunlight. Its gaze radiated serenity, and in that instant, the growling ceased, replaced by an ethereal silence that washed over them. Martha gasped. "He is here. A sign that we won the battle within us." "Indeed," Emily exclaimed, her heart soaring. "This is our moment of revelation. The divine encourages us to shine brighter, to claim our power over fear. In unity, let us celebrate our growth, our connection, and our unwavering faith." The deer stepped closer, its eyes reflecting the warmth of the villagers' hearts, and Emily felt a rush of tears swell in her eyes. Gratitude enveloped her as she leaned down in humble reverence. "Lord, thank you for guiding us through this journey, for the healing, the revelations, and the bonds we have formed. We are forever changed." Around her, villagers began to share their stories. One by one, they rose to speak, testifying to the shifts within them. "I was consumed by loneliness," said Mary, her voice trembling with emotion. "But now I found family here. I know I am never alone. I felt lost in my anger," Jonathan added, strength finding its way through his words. "But this community pulled me back to light. I give thanks for every one of you." As they filled the sacred space with these testimonies, the deer watched, a silent guardian absorbing the spirit of transformation blossoming among them. Emily sensed the collective power merging into something inexorable. They were no longer just individuals whispering prayers in the shadows. They had become a radiant force of hope. And then, darkness stirred again, an unmistakable growl vibrating once more through the forest, but this time it held no power. "Tonight, let us declare our newfound strength together," Emily urged. "Let us roar with faith." With renewed fervor, the villagers closed their eyes, thrusting their arms into the sky. "With every whisper of doubt that surrounds us, we claim victory. We are standing in the light." The sound of their united voices rose like a wave, crashing against the walls of fear. The growling diminished, a distant echo swallowed by their relentless prayers and proclamations. In the glow of the candlelight, the villagers, now an unyielding bastion of faith, looked toward the deer, seeking direction. Suddenly, with an ethereal shimmer, it transformed into a figure, a divine outline of light and love enveloping them. "I am Saint Benedict," the figure proclaimed, his voice resonating like a gentle breeze. "You have faced your trials, and you shine brighter than the sun. Continue this journey of faith. The shadows may creep, but in unity, you will illuminate even the darkest corners." Gasps filled the air, waves of relief and joy washed over every heart. The battle had not ended, it was merely the beginning of a deeper journey. "Let us carry this spirit with us," Emily implored, brandishing her hands like wings. "Every trial we have faced has only strengthened us. We are bound together in faith, empowered to face the world." United in determination, the villagers acknowledged their truths. No longer would they fear their shadows. Instead, they would embrace the light, ready for whatever came next. "Believe in our protection, believe in our strength, and believe in the divine journey ahead," she concluded, her heart swelling with divine love. As they stepped out of the church, the golden light of dawn broke anew, casting the village in a radiant shimmer. Together, hand in hand, they ventured into the world, a fortified family forged in faith and divine harmony. And now, dear friends, it is your turn. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you won't miss the next exclusive faith stories that will inflame your heart with hope. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. A single click makes a difference in sharing this divine message. Comment your reactions and testimonies about this powerful ending. We want to hear your journey of faith. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness and feel this manifestation of love and light. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait even one more second. Only true servants of God understand how action can amplify His glory.